Going to
I know, but
call to order the May meeting of the New York State Cemetery Board. I'm Mark Pattison, and what's today?
May 8th.
8th. I still represent Robert Rodriguez, Secretary of State.
For a few more hours.
Till tomorrow. And let me introduce the rest of the board that's here. Why don't you go first, Tom?
Thomas Fuller, representing Dr. James McDonald from the Department of Health.
And Jill?
Hi, I'm Jill Faber, representing Attorney General Letitia James.
Great. So the board is in full order. Just a few comments since we're here, even though it's not all that different in many ways from our regular board meetings. It's been a busy couple years, busy year. I think we've worked hard to improve our operations, to make them easier for you to take advantage of our services and understand our role. We've improved through standardization of many of our operations and use of forms. And again, that is something that we continue to work on and continue to try to train people on. We've worked, and Lewis will talk more about this later, on our efforts to prevent abandonment to towns. Because again, one of our primary missions is to make sure cemeteries are operated by not-for-profit local entities. Staffing has been a struggle for everyone, I think, in the world, but with us as well. But we've done pretty well. I'm tempted to say we're fully staffed, but I know Lewis will say we're not. There's a couple vacancies, couple churns, but by and large, we were really down quite a bit, and we've been able to bring back a bunch of high-quality staff. So we're grateful for that. And I think this past year, our efforts to provide better education and training through our Cemetery 101 series has been very well received, I hope, and certainly entertain feedback on that. But we think it's gone well, and we're going to continue to provide that in some other trainings. Lastly, I wanted to thank all the efforts that NYSAC has made to help us. They're good. You are all good partners, not only as an association, but your individual efforts as cemeterians. So we appreciate the work you do in your individual cemeteries. I have staff here that, again, a little more formal, but Louis Polishuk is the director of the division. Rob Vandelis is our general counsel. Alicia Young is our assistant director. And would the staff here just stand up or wave just so they can recognize that? There you go. So if you want to have questions asked, our staff are available for that. I think that brings it ready to go into business. And the first order of business is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Does anybody have any comments, suggestions, or corrections to the minutes as distributed? Bill?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes of the past meeting as distributed. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Minutes approved. We usually mail out our report on legislation and regulation from our council. But Rob, do you have anything else to add?
No prepared remarks. If the board has any questions on the legislative report. Hearing none, I will only note that the division and I continue to make progress assessing the comments we received on the natural organic production proposed regulations.
Okay, well, thank you, Rob. Louis, do you have a division report?
Yeah, I have a somewhat more extensive division report. Since I wrote it out, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will highlight what's there. If anybody's curious about this, please don't anybody take notes. This is all on the website. You can actually see the whole thing. So wanted to highlight what we've done because we as a division typically operate on a calendar year basis, but the rest of the state operates on a fiscal year basis. So this report covers a 15-month period from January 1, 2023 through March 31st of this year, so as to catch things from both periods. The main thing we were doing this year, as I think you guys all know by now, was let me move this a little closer, was Cemetery 101 and annual report training. On those, I really want to acknowledge Cindy Craig, who took the lead on putting together the Cemetery 101 presentation, although many people helped put it together, and many more people from the division helped present. I think almost everyone in the division has done at least one of those presentations. And I want to acknowledge Carrie Frezzi and with Alicia Young's help, put together the presentation on the annual report training, which we did solely online. I'm not going to get into details, but the report lists a bunch of other training modules for more specific things that we're working on. I'd ask you to take a look at that, what I wrote, and see if there's anything else you think you guys or your staffs or anyone would benefit from having a more advanced training module on, and let me know. Also, we are looking for venues for Cemetery 101, and to the extent they're ready, the advanced training modules for the summer. We noticed towards April, a few of our Cemetery 101 sessions were not quite as well attended as they had been, although even the smaller ones, or maybe especially the smaller ones, had really engaged. The people involved there were really engaged and had excellent questions. So don't have a problem with doing a smaller session, but if you're in an area where we either did one really early on in 2023 or haven't been too close to you, that's especially what we're looking at. The cemetery does not have to be the host. If you have a relationship with the local firehouse, local Elks Lodge, any of those kind of places, local public library that has a meeting room, we'd be happy to do it there. So again, just tell any of us. So the next thing I wanted to specifically acknowledge one of our new accountants, Lisa Dooley, who pretty much single-handedly came up with the idea of Cemetery Cleanup Day, which was 2 Saturdays ago, I think, April 27th. Given that we put this all together in about 6 weeks, I'm a little bit surprised to acknowledge that it was a resounding success. And we had almost 30 cemeteries participating. We are going to be sending out a feedback, a survey for some feedback, or at least contacting people for feedback in some way or another to try to see what worked, what didn't, what good came of it, and what we can do to make this even better next year. Certainly having more lead time will make it even better next year. But that was just, it worked out terrifically well, and I wanted to acknowledge that. I'm going to skip most of the stuff that I just refer you to the report on everything else with one exception. Staffing, we are now down 2 people, an accountant in Albany and a investigator in Binghamton, although I'll note that the vacancy in Binghamton is sort of only a partial vacancy because Brendan Stanton, who formerly held that position, still works for the department. He is a member of our, what I believe is called our Division of Agency or Office of Agency Transformation, which means that about a third of his time that was spent doing technology projects for us, he's still doing those same technology projects for us, just wearing a new hat. So once we fill the Binghamton investigator, that's going to actually be like we have more capacity than we did before because we moved all the quasi-IT stuff somewhere else. We also are going to be hiring 2 people in Syracuse, an investigator and an accountant. Mike Seelman is not going anywhere. We're just hoping that he'll be able to actually devote his time to supervising, managing, and providing a more senior investigator role with someone assigned to his territory in Syracuse. So again, I just, there is now something called New York Helps, which allows us to hire people outside of the civil service list. I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but allows us to hire somebody outside the civil service list process as long as they meet the minimum qualifications for the position. So if any of you know anyone who might be qualified to be an investigator, and I think the investigator qualifications are pretty, I wouldn't say low, but generic, or a senior accountant, those are a little less generic. You have to have a certain degree and a certain amount of accounting courses. But if you know of people in Binghamton, Syracuse, or here in Albany who might be interested, please give them a heads up to watch this space because we will hopefully be starting a recruitment soon on those. That was all I had on my piece of the division report. Alicia, I'll let you do the annual report totals.
Yep, so we've received 1,170 annual reports so far, of which 566 were online, representing about 48%, which is good. Always recommending filing online, makes life easier for both you and us.
Leave you the microphone because the next thing's going to be the
Yeah,
vandalism
vandalism
report.
report.
Wait, Bill, did you guys have any questions on any of that or in any of the written stuff I circulated?
No,
Okay, I posted the vandalism report, so we started off a new fiscal year, April 1st. So do we have confirmation that the $2 million was appropriated?
yes.
Okay. And of last year's appropriation, the 2 million, we paid out about 1.7 million. We still have a bunch of funds to be paid out for prior years, and we have a lot of, let's see, we've got,
Anybody have any questions of Alicia for her?
She's
report?
still.
yeah, so we've got about $400,000 in the pipeline. That means applications we've received, and we have almost $400,000 on the agenda today.
To be clear on 2 points, just because the number was 1.7 million out of 2 million doesn't mean that we didn't commit, we had more than $2 million committed
Yep.
during the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024. They just weren't all ready for payment. So the fact, so which is the second thing is, although we all, 2 related points. Number one, anytime we award money under this statute, it's going to be subject to the availability of funds. On the other hand, just because it looks like we only have $400,000 quote unquote left for this year doesn't mean that that's actually how it's going to play out in terms of when
It's
things are
always a timing.
committed and paid out, which is a long-winded, as I usually am, way of saying, if you've got a good claim for hazardous monuments, or you are considering taking responsibility for an abandoned cemetery and you are going to seek funds to maintain that cemetery, please absolutely feel free to still apply for that money. It's there for a reason. If we don't spend every cent of it, we haven't, like, we want to spend every cent of it. That's what it's there for.
I jumped the gun. So
That's it.
does anybody have any questions of Alicia for her report?
Nope.
Thank you. That means we move to vandalism applications, and we have a number of them today, or it's vandalism, hazardous monuments, and abandonment for towns. Again, so the first application is from Holmes Cemetery in Erie County in the amount of $17,245.75. Someone can present that to the board?
Michael? Yep.
Okay. Michael Katina, I'm the investigator from the Buffalo office. Home Hills Cemetery is a small rural cemetery in the towns of Wales, Erie County. They submitted an application for the repair of 29 hazardous monuments. I visited the cemetery and confirmed that all 29 monuments appear to pose a hazard. The most recent monument was dated 1927, and the cemetery stated they do not have lot owner records from that period. They ran a legal ad once a week
The ad
for
was
3
messed
weeks
up.
in the East Aurora Advertiser, and then had to run a second corrected ad again with the East Aurora Advertiser because I think they had their dates wrong. The fee was $87.75. They received no responses from anyone willing to fix the monuments. The division understands the cemetery has determined that the lot owners cannot be located. Cemetery submitted one repair estimate from Western New York Cemetery Services for $17,158 to reset 29 monuments on concrete foundations to a depth of 42 inches and includes a 20-year warranty. The cemetery placed a newspaper ad soliciting bids because they were only able to get one. However, the newspaper ad was unsuccessful. This is Holmes Hill's first application for funds. They are up to date on the vandalism payments, and I recommend approval in the amount of $17,245.75. Any questions?
Nope. Hi, I'm having a little trouble hearing.
Oh, my.
How about now, Jill? Can you hear us?
Yeah, that's good now, yeah.
Nobody touch it.
No, nobody did. I'm not sure where we lost sound, but we did approve the application from Holmes Cemetery. And we now have the application of Glenwood Cemetery. Michael, are you going to present that again?
Did we lose them again?
No, I can
Sorry,
hear.
I muted
Oh,
myself.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Okay, the second application is from Glenwood Maltby Cemetery. It's a small rural cemetery in the town of Colden, located in Erie County. They submitted an application for repair of 9 hazardous monuments. I visited the cemetery and confirmed that all 9 appear to pose a hazard. The most recent monument was dated 1960, 16, and the cemetery stated that they do not have lot owner records for that period. They ran a legal notice twice a week. Twice a week for 3 weeks in the Springfield Journal, $79.18 with no response. It's the division's understanding that the cemetery has determined that the lot owners cannot be located. The cemetery submitted 2 repair estimates, the lowest of which was from Western New York Cemetery Service for $8,221 to reset 9 monuments on concrete foundations to a depth of 42 inches and included a 20-year warranty. This is the Glenwood Maltby Cemetery's first application for funds. They are up to date on vandalism payments, and I recommend approval in the amount of $8,327.08.
Does anybody have any board members have any questions on the application?
I don't.
No further questions. I'll make a motion to approve the application of Glenwood Cemetery in Erie County in the amount of $8,300.18, subject to the availability of funds. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
The application is approved. We have an application from Salisbury Cemetery in the county of Herkimer in the amount of $65,337.20. Who's going to present that to the board?
That's me.
Glenn, you want to go to Mike, please? This one right there.
Good morning. Morning. Len Breen with the Division of Cemeteries. We have an application before us from Salisbury Rural Cemetery. It's a small cemetery in the village of Salisbury, Herkimer County. They submitted an application for the repair of 48 hazardous monuments. I visited the cemetery and was able to confirm that all 48 monuments are indeed leaning dangerously and in danger of falling over. And the cemetery has no records of any of these lot owners for these monuments because they're all very old. And they did run an ad in the local Dispatch newspaper, and they received no response from any of the lot owners. And the newest monument is dated from 1948. So based on the information the cemetery provided, it's our understanding that the lot owners cannot be found. So we received two estimates for this application, one from Northeast for $64,800 and one from Humphrey for $72,875. Both estimates propose to pour foundations, the depth of 42 inches, and they offer a 10-year warranty on both of them. This appears to be a legitimate claim, and I recommend approval in the amount of $65,037.20.
Thank you. Does anybody on the board have any questions of this application?
No.
All right, then I'll make a motion to approve the application from Salisbury Cemetery in Herkimer County in the amount of $65,037.20, subject to the availability of funds. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Application is approved. Next one is from Barneveld Cemetery in Oneida County in the amount of $110,054.24.
This is Mike Seelman from the division. Olden Barneveld Cemetery is a small rural cemetery in the town of Trenton, Oneida County. They submitted an application for the repair of 74 monuments. I visited the cemetery and confirmed that the 74 monuments all did appear to be hazardous. The most recent monument is from 1944. The cemetery stated they do not have records for that time period. They ran a legal notice once a week for 3 weeks in the Observer Dispatch, and they received no response from that ad. It's our understanding that the cemetery has determined that the lot owners cannot be located. They provided two estimates, one from Northeast Cemetery Services for $110,400 and one from Mohawk Valley Monuments for $135,838. Both estimates were to reset the monuments on new foundations to the depth of 42 inches. Northeast offered a 10-year warranty, and Mohawk Valley did not include warranty information. The average cost of the lower estimate was $1,492. I should note that these are good-sized monuments. Olden Barneveld Cemetery is up to date on their annual reports and vandalism payments, and I recommend approval in the amount of $110,565.07.
Is there a slight discrepancy in the figures? Mike says $110,564.
Let me check.
It's just a small discrepancy.
Hang on.
but-
That was,
54 is correct. There's a typo in the agenda.
64 is correct?
54.
Well, the agenda says 54.
No, the agenda says, oh, am I reading it wrong? Wait, so Mike, what's the?
yeah, I was reading off my prepared statement. I had a typo. The official amount is $110,554.24. That's $110,400 for the repair of the monuments and $154.24 for the legal notice.
Yeah, Mark, sorry I created more confusion. I was trying to read with my glasses or without my glasses. Don't ask.
Not asked, and thank you. So does anybody have any questions of the other questions of the application? None here? Jill? I don't know if we still hear Jill, but.
No, I don't have any questions now.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the application of Barneveld Cemetery in Oneida County in the amount of $110,554,024. Do I have a second? Subject to the availability of funds. Subject to the availability of funds, thank you. Missed one. Seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Application is approved. Next one is Oriskany Cemetery in Oneida County. Again, in the amount of $70,156.51. Mike, you doing that one?
Yes, I am.
Maybe I'm in.
Great.
Oriskany Cemetery, it's a small cemetery, town of Oriskany, Oneida County. They submitted an application for the repair of 49 hazardous monuments. Again, I visited the cemetery and all 4 appeared to be hazardous. The most recent monuments dated 2005. And the cemetery president stated they do not have lot owner records for this period. So a little background on that. This cemetery was reorganized in 2020. The current board is keeping appropriate records. And excuse me, current board's keeping appropriate records. I checked and the 2005, which is the most recent of the foundations, was not installed by either of the contractors that are bidding on this project. So the cemetery ran a legal notice once a week for 3 weeks in the Rome Sentinel. And it is our understanding that the cemetery has determined that the lot owners cannot be located. They did not get any response from that legal notice. They provided 2 repair estimates, one from Northeast Cemetery Services for $70,000 and one from Mohawk Valley Memorials for $80,366. Both contractors proposed to reset the monuments on new concrete foundations to a depth of 42 inches. Northeast offers a 10-year warranty and Mohawk Valley did not provide warranty information. In this one, the average cost of the lower bid is $1,429 per monument. The cemetery is up to date on annual reports and vandalism payments, and I recommend approval in the amount of $70,156.51.
Lost the sound again.
I think we've lost sound. I
I
can't
think
hear.
we lost, yeah, lost you again.
Do you think they can hear us?
I don't know.
Hello?
Hello?
Hear me now, Joe?
Yes, now I can.
Yeah, we can hear.
We don't know why it goes in and out, but thank you, and we'll keep up. We're just voted on Oriskany Cemetery, approving that application with the 2 people that could hear us. Jill, do you have a vote on that?
I'm in favor.
Oh, for the record. So that was approved. Last application is Verona Cemetery in Oneida County in the amount of $110,968.22. Mike, do you want to give us the overview?
Yes. Verona Cemetery is a small cemetery in the town of Verona, Oneida County. They submitted an application for the repair of 69 hazardous monuments. Again, I visited the cemetery and confirmed that all the monuments appeared to pose a hazard. The most recent is dated 1985. They stated they do not have lot owner records for that period. They ran a legal notice once a week for 3 weeks in the Oneida Daily Dispatch for $118.22, and they received no response to that legal ad. It's our understanding that the cemetery has determined that the lot owners cannot be located. The cemetery provided a repair estimate from Northeast Cemetery Services for $110,850 and an estimate from Mohawk Valley Memorials for $135,838. Both estimates were to reset the monuments on concrete foundations to a depth of 42 inches. Northeast provided a 10-year warranty and Mohawk Valley did not include warranty information. The average cost of the lower estimate is $1,607 per monument. And these are very, very large monuments throughout the cemetery. The cemetery is up to date on annual reports and vandalism payments, and I recommend approval in the amount of $110,968.22.
Thank you, Michael. Does anybody have any questions on Michael's presentation? No?
I don't know.
Hearing none, I'm going to make a motion to approve the application of Verona Cemetery in Oneida County in the amount of $110,968.22, subject to the availability of funds. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. I want to make a point, as you, it's fairly clear, that is a very boring set of boring reports. We are a regulatory body driven by statute or regulations and policies that are designed to make sure we're in compliance with the statutes. We have made an effort to standardize those things, not only so that we get it right when we're making approvals, but hopefully we get it right when we talk to you about what you need to provide us, so we don't go back and forth with, oh, I didn't know that, yeah, and streamline the application process. And again, that's part of putting in place the forms and doing some of the training. So that's something I'm actually very proud of. I think in the past, it depended on the staff member in a certain place, what they asked you for, and then it would get to the central office and they might ask you something different. I think we're processing applications in a more timely and efficient way. And again, we are having less questions at the board level about the application. So that's, while it's boring, I think it's an exciting step in our operational process. So that's my self-congratulatory comment there. Thank you for that. The next is an application from Ferncliff Cemetery for a major alteration and a columbarium.
That's me. Just give me one sec to pivot to it. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Oh, sorry. You know what? I've neglected to do something in the division report, but since you called this, we'll do that. And then I'll come back to the abandonment report. Let's see. Ferncliff. So Ferncliff Cemetery submitted an application initially for a major alteration. They later, at my request, submitted an application for approval of a columbarium and mausoleum, columbarium. What they're essentially doing is developing a section that's now just grass into a cremation walk with various different types of essentially little columbaria along the way. There are cord monuments, in-ground spaces, and other types of niches that are along a walkway they're going to be selling for cremated remains. They have a section like this already at the very bottom of the cemetery. The cemetery's on a downhill slope from my perspective because I live to the east of it, so it's downhill when I'm going there. This is about in the middle of the cemetery, and they're expecting to net over $500,000 on an expenditure of about $175,000, which is obviously a good deal. This is also not land that's particularly useful, or there's a better use of this land than doing in-ground burials there. I've spelled out all the details in the report. They did post the requisite signs for columbarium. They've got no adverse comments. And the comment period expired, I believe, on April 25th. And they didn't get anything since then, or before then, I should say. Other than that, Ferncliff has lots of different final options for lots and such, from traditional in-ground burials, a huge mausoleum complex, and all kinds of different cremation products, and a series of lawn crypts, where their lawn crypt areas combine both lawn crypts and cremation product spaces. So we think this is a good project. It's going to be paid for strictly from their general fund, and it's not going to bother anyone in any way, shape, or form. In fact, probably will serve to beautify the area. So we're recommending approval. One thing I will note is that two things I'll note is the cemetery represents there are no permits required. And so we're not conditioning it on receipt of permits. And also, starting this month, we're going to be adding to our where we don't actually draft a formal board resolution for the board to sign, we're going to be adding resolution language to our report and recommendation. So I've done that here. So our recommended language is that the board adopt a resolution approving the applications for major, by the way, we're recommending approval of the major alteration application here just because they submitted it. I'm not at all sure this is a major alteration, but if it is, they've satisfied that standard. So we're recommending approval of the applications for major alteration and columbarium. I have in the subject to receipt of any other required approvals. There's no harm in putting that in. My understanding is there aren't any.
Rob, do you have anything to add?
I would only add that the cemetery, as part of the application, did submit part 1 of an environmental assessment form after reviewing the details of the project. This can be treated as type 2 for the purposes of seeker, as 6 NYCR 617.5C9 provides. It's a commercial project under 4,000 square feet, and the other exceptions apply. So for the purposes of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, the cemetery board can treat this as type 2, thus conclude the analysis under seeker.
Okay. Any other questions from board members on this application? I would just also make the note, just change over the past years that we're working to make sure we're in better compliance with seeker. That's something that sort of came up in the process of a variety of applications, and we've schooled ourselves in that. And again, that is in the long run in the interest, even though it's different and may require some different work on the cemetery's part or our part. In the long run, it makes the approvals more correct, more sustainable. So again, that's an accomplishment. I'll make a motion to approve the application of Ferncliff. Did I do it right? What's the
Applications for a major alteration and columbarium.
major alteration in columbarium? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Subject.
Subject to receipt of any other required approvals.
Subject to the receipt of any other required approvals. Thank you. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Application is approved. Our last bit of business is the Oakwood Cemetery, an amendment to the major alteration application.
Strangely enough, this application originally came before the board at the NISAC meeting in 2019. Oakwood Cemetery in Mount Kisco is looking to build a new garage/office space. Its office space is woefully inadequate. It is smaller than this dais. And its garage is not large enough to accommodate all of its equipment. That's why the board approved it back in 2019. The problem is between a lot of back and forth with the municipality about the specifications of the project and COVID and cost increases since then, the project is now going to cost slightly more than double what it was originally anticipated to cost. The board's approval was of a project not to exceed $437,000. The new estimate is just under $976,000. The thing I'm going to call your attention to is that the report of senior accountant Emmanuel Blue spells out in detail how it is that the cemetery can now afford this. The cemetery has been quite profitable in the last 4 years. There's one exception for 1 year because they had a lot of extraordinary expenses, but they're doing very well. They can afford the project. They need it. And so we're recommending that the board revisit its 2019 approval to amend that approval to approve the major alteration in a sum not to exceed $975,597, subject to receipt of all other required permits and approvals.
Are there any questions of the division on this application?
No.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to the major 2019 major alteration application in the amount of $975,597. Is that what you said? Dollars, subject to the receipt of required permits. Council, did you have anything else to add?
I would only be a broken record noting again that this is a type 2 under seeker because the proposed project is a commercial project under 4,000 square feet.
Okay, with that, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application is approved. That completes our normal course of business.
Actually, sorry, Mark, I just wanted to, I forgot. Last month, we did not provide the abandonment report required under Part 202 of the Cemetery Board's regulations. I've included that in this month's packet. There's a written report. It's on our website. I would refer you to them. It also notes the number of cemeteries where we had successful reorganizations, the number of cemeteries that
I think the volume went out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no sound.
now, Jill.
That's better.
All right. We're working hard. I know where we lost you, but Louis, do you want to finish up?
Yeah, sorry. I just referred everyone to the abandonment report. There's only one thing I want to add to it. Dave, it's East Nassau, Central. Sorry. There's one I did not include on here. Central Nassau Cemetery is should be added to the category of pending determination by the division. It is no longer going to continue functioning as a regulated cemetery. We just have to make a determination as to whether or not it meets the legal definition of abandonment. We've started on that process already, and hopefully soon we will have a report, a determination for the board for confirmation on that. And there are a few others listed in the report where we're still working on determinations. Remember, under our current rules, there's the story of a play-at-home plate where a guy slides and the umpire hasn't made the call, and he says, so am I out or safe? And the umpire says, Until I call it son, it's nothing. So under our current regulations, that's how abandonment works. We have to make a determination as to abandonment. These are pending. We will hopefully get these done soon, and the board will then have the opportunity to confirm or not confirm our determinations.
Thank you, Louis.
That really is all we had.
Really, really. So our next cemetery board meeting is scheduled for June 11th. One Commerce Plaza, 99 Washington Avenue. I think that's at 10:30 Tuesday morning. And we also
Jill, can you hear us?
Now I can. Lost you for a minute.
I'm just going to stay.
all right. Our high-class technician is going to stay right there. We're encouraging public comment. Is there anybody online that would like to address the board on matters before the board? Hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the board, either with questions or comments? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Pardon me, Glenn, there's a microphone just behind you, if you wouldn't mind.
We can move it. There you go.
Oh, thanks. Glenn Kennedy from South Hill Cemetery, Ithaca. I just want to reaffirm what was mentioned earlier, that we have found that our cemetery and others surrounding those Cemetery 101 courses extremely valuable and helpful and well received. So thank you for doing that and the other things you're looking into.
Thank you. Thank you for going. Are there other people in the audience who would like to comment or have a question about?
No audio.
Sorry, Jill, can you hear us now?
Now, yes.
All right. Well, good. We're going to finish strong. I'm going to make a motion if there's no other public comments to adjourn the meeting, the May meeting of the New York State Cemetery Board. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending.